Once upon a time, there was a village far, far into the jungle, and it was right beside the mountain. And every night, when it was time to go to bed, the village had to close all their doors of their house and all the windows because nobody knew why, but there was always a funny noise every night. Nobody could sleep. So one night, that noise was getting louder and louder, and this one man in the village said, "That's it, I gotta go investigate what the heck this noise is." So he starts climbing up the mountain. It was a high mountain. It was quite far and steep, but he knew how to climb. He did it a lot of times before, so he was climbing and trying to figure out where this noise was coming, and the closer he got, the louder it got. So he knew he was getting close. And the sound it was making, he couldn't even figure out that sound. It was... So he kept following that sound, and all of a sudden he gets right to the peak, and oh, look at that, there's a big house here. So he walks up, and gee, the door of this house was as high as my flagpole. It was at least 20 feet high. So he went to the door, and well, he didn't have to open the door. The crack underneath the door was big enough for him to go in. So he just snuck in from the bottom of the door, and oh my goodness, this noise was getting so loud, he had to put something in his ears. So he kept looking, and geez, this is a big giant's house, I think. The table was big. Everything in the house was so big. So the closer he got to the noise, he goes underneath another door, and oh, the floor was shaking, the table was shaking, and he looks and he climbs up the sheets, and oh, there's this big giant snoring away. All these years we thought it was something dangerous. So he thought, well, I'm going to tickle him underneath the nose and see what happens. So he takes a big feather and he starts tickling underneath his nose, and that big giant, well, he was still snoring. So with his hand he tried rubbing his nose and just about got me. So I had to be careful. So then he thought, well, I'm going to go to his ear and just tell him to wake up, Mr. Giant. So he goes to his ear and he talks to him. He goes, "Hey, Mr. Giant, can you not snore? Nobody else can sleep." So the giant, he didn't wake up, but his mind was still working. And all of a sudden, the big giant, he stopped snoring. "Oh," the man said, "that's perfect. Maybe that's all we need to do every night is just have somebody come around the clock every night to just whisper in his ear, and maybe he'll stop snoring." So then every night when it was bedtime, there was always somebody ready to come up and talk to the big giant in his ear to tell him to stop snoring. And the rest of the village slept like babies. Good night.